This is the operating company that I referenced earlier, REFASHIONed OS. In our easiest sort of one-liner pitch is that we're the kayak.com for profitable fashion reshoring. We're a platform that connects and orchestrates local fashion value chains from fibers to finished goods here in the US, delivering sustainability, living wages, and better margins. How are we like kayak.com? Well, our factories are the airlines. Capacity is airplane seats, and purchase orders are the flights. So we partner with US fibers to finished good factories to match and facilitate brands' demand, enable brands to pre-book raw materials capacity, and manage visible PO orchestration as small batch or on demand across the value chain. The problem, as I was speaking about earlier, is pretty large. The fashion supply chain is a hot mess. It's overproducing, opaque, toxic, and full of risk. In 2019, one of the largest retailers in the world reached out to me because of risk mitigation. And this was before the pandemic, before that Suez Canal incident, and these once-in-a-lifetime storms and crises happening every month now around the globe. $50 billion is the amount of overproduction every year just in the US that goes to dead stock, landfill, or incineration. The current lack of transparency of our global infrastructure is a feature, not a bug. 10% of CO2 emissions is the fashion industry's contribution to impact and risk. Year-over-year increases in global trade wars, disasters, disruptions, logistics breakdowns is that's the only constant. Our solution, localized collaborative value chains. They're sustainable, transparent, post-purchase, and de-risked. We are reducing the 30 to 40% of global volume-based overproduction to 5% or less. We have full transparency because it's digitally native local infrastructure built for visibility. We have 85% sell-through of products at full retail price, eliminating discounts, markdowns, and losses. And of course, agility. Increasing risk is driving reshoring, seeking speed to market and faster inventory turns. The current global model is produce, ship, sell, and then landfill or incinerate. Our local model is sell, produce, ship, and then recycle and remonetize. This industry is massive, $3 trillion by 2030, if not sooner, thanks to companies like Shein and Cider. 65.2 billion is, according to the National Council of Textile Organizations here in the US, currently being produced. 8 billion is the amount that the fashion industry has committed to reshoring to the US market by 2025. Our current founding factory partners represent collectively about 300 years in business in the United States and $10.2 billion in production capacity with our tier 1 and their tier 2 partners. They currently have about 1 billion of unutilized finished goods capacity for reshoring of brands currently available, ready to go. McKinsey & Company states that 71% of brand CPOs plan to increase their reshoring by 2025. When that huge global brand reached out to me in 2019, I said, well, why do you need me? If you need me, then I would imagine other brands do. After 50 years of overseas production, brands are blind to existing US textiles and apparel factories. We're the reshoring easy button. Our one-stop shop made in the USA platform allows brands to pre-book and capacity plan against raw materials. The POs draw against those raw materials. Our platform orchestrates across the approved US factories, and then brands receive updates and notifications, including turnaround time. Our advantage is as simple as this. If you look at actual margins instead of landed cost of goods sold, that, oh, I could get a t-shirt for $2 in India. The reality is not that you're getting a $2 t-shirt. If you look at your shipping containers that have gone from $1,500 in early 2020 to now upwards of $20,000 just for a box to put your stuff in, not including the increasing cost of ocean freight, air freight, etc. And then inventory not landing until the end of season, so it's automatically marked down to 90% off. So if you look at this global model for $150 retail price garment, 25% is the sell-through at full retail price. That's if you're doing really well under the current global model. Only 25% sells through at full retail price. So your average price after discounts, markdowns, and dead stock is really $86. Our model, local, 85% sells through at full retail price because we're selling, producing, and shipping. Our adjusted price after discounts, markdowns, and dead stock becomes $143, 65% higher revenue. For brands, we become a one-stop shop platform from fibers to finished goods, innovation and production. We allow brands to sell, produce, ship, which they cannot do under the current infrastructure. They're having their butts handed to them by companies like Shein and toxic fast fashion. Speed to market, agility, faster inventory turns. We allow for increased profit margins compared to overseas despite higher wages. We do not want to just replicate the race to the bottom here in the US. And real-time visibility, waste reduction, traceability, compliance, and sustainability. For our factory partners, I love this term. They said, alone, we have no power. We are at the mercy of the brands. Collectively, you've turned us into a virtual gorilla. I was like, oh, I love that. Virtual gorilla refers to the collective buying, lobbying, and financing power. There is strength in numbers. We deliver consistent revenue, higher value purchase orders, and integrated orchestration across the value chain with lower risks. The factories, existing factories, can focus on their ops. They know how to cut and sew. They do not know innovation, so they outsource it to us. We help create operational efficiency, increase margins, and maximize their capacity. And most importantly, if we're reshoring jobs, we do not want to replicate that race to the bottom. We're creating careers, not jobs, higher wages, staff reskilling and upskilling, creating careers without college degrees required. Actually, Shimmy, one of the supply chain programs companies, she is gamifying reskilling of factory workers in Bangladesh. They have a 4th grade education, can't read or write, or even afraid to touch a computer because it's worth more than their lives in the caste system. And she's gamified it to be as addictive as Candy Crush through voice and touch screen. These women in Bangladesh can be creating digital patterns in as little as 4 hours. So if we can do that in Bangladesh, we can create jobs here in the US. Here in the US, that is a 6-figure salary. I mean, we can't hire enough of them fast enough. Our data network effect, more factories we onboard, the more types of brands and categories we can expand to. Our algorithms get smarter and we create increased stickiness. It is exactly the model that Mr. Bezos took when he decided to simply sell some books online, investing in infrastructure of warehouses and logistics. The real goal there was owning everyone else's data. For us, we are owning all of our factory partners' data with them. Because we're a software business, we're far more efficient and have higher margins than our factory partners ever could. But because it's a reciprocal model, we have profits that exceed 92% in year 5, and we kick back a percentage to our factories so they can reskill, upskill, and update their infrastructure. Go to market. We started with on-demand and worked our way backwards. My team has worked with Gerber Innovation Lab, and actually the guy that designed the Gerber Innovation Lab is our head of factories. We figured out the unit economics, how it needs to be part of a distributed network for it to scale and make sense for all sides of the equation. And we worked backwards to how do we get there? It all starts with data. So we're MVP is a one-stop shop, purchase order management, factory data, and collaboration platform for which we take 5%, which is more than reclaimed in all the efficiencies. Then we roll out circular textile scaling. Through my fund, we've invested in natural fiber welding, which is scaling for plant-based alternatives to leather and polyester. And Evernew, I have a pipeline of circular textiles that are ready to scale through our partners. We then leverage the same software, NFT capacities for our factories, turns into NFT tech packs for the designer marketplace with smart licensing, allowing all of our tech packs to then be resold and have a life that creates efficiencies and speed to market for other brands. in layman's terms, if you come up with the next DBF wrap dress, you can knock yourself off. They cannot currently participate in the upside they create by creating demand in today's market. In our model, if you've created the demand for a dress, you can license it to somebody downstream and say, you can't use my name, my prints, my fabrics, my whatever, and it has to be a lower price point. The brand that created the opportunity can now participate in the upside of the downstream knockoff. We then can deploy PO financing, scale additional circular textiles, and when we launch on demand, fully automated production lines, well, they're actually 90% automated. The factory margins jump upwards of 75 to 80%, which then is spread across all of the factories. Currently, factories in the US are operating at maybe 15 to, if they're lucky, 30% margin. So obviously getting to on-demand is a game changer. How do we
What about batches?
Pardon?
Batch orders?
The small batch is where we're starting.
Okay.
And then we do full post-purchase on demand. How do we make money? We start with the rev share on the platform fee from purchase orders from brands. Future roadmap, designer marketplace, SaaS and licensing sales, designers and brands, CapEx financing, factoring of our own raw materials. We control the infrastructure just like Mr. Bezos. You can control all the variables that go into it, including factoring, which is just printing money. On-demand microfactory deployments, and then production credits. This is part of my globally filed non-provisional patent, which in essence is saying, blow up your need for working capital sitting out in the world doing nothing for you for 6 months, a year, 18 months in advance. Purchase your quarterly or monthly just-in-time production credits. Think like iStock photo. You know that a dress is going to equal 6 production credits when we ingest it, and then we just deduct as orders come in. Congratulations, your dresses are flying off your website. Would you like to replenish your production credits? Then at the end of the month or quarter, you're left maybe holding your pre-booked raw materials, which haven't been converted, and production credits instead of inventory that has to be landfilled or incinerated. It makes a lot of money. It's all software leveraging existing businesses. This has taken a long time to figure out the unit economics, to find the right partners. And unlike Silicon Valley, who likes to move fast and break things, I feel that they've broken the middle class, our economy, democracy, the planet, a couple of things. Because we're working with businesses that have existed collectively for 300 years and are privately held, we could not move fast and break things. We've done things extremely intentionally, a lot of design thinking and systems thinking to arrive at this viable model. Our team, seasoned experts. My co-founder, Eric, is a sought-after go-to-market expert. Jeff King is our head of factories. He designed the Gerber Innovation Lab. Tiffany Shadler has planned $3 billion in fashion products for Marc Jacobs, Ralph Lauren, Michael Kors, etc. She came up with our replenishment strategy. Every time a brand is out of stock of a bestseller, they are losing 2 to 10% per SKU per day in lost revenue. So she brings a crazy wealth of knowledge. Our fractional CFO is currently the CFO at Yamaha Motor Ventures. He was CFO at Quirky, Beats by Dre, and Stanley Black & Decker. Importantly for us, because everything is collaboration, we have an in-house legal counsel. Mark Amschroeder was in-house at Caterpillar Legal for 14 years, and then Otterbox during their growth years, going from 100 million to 1.6 billion. And then Robert Leinberg is our go-to US textiles guru. He built the US textiles industry starting in the 70s with Dow and then BASF, and then brought Portals out of the UK into the US market, breaking up the collusion of Dow, DuPont, and Monsanto, and brokered the largest IP sale in sustainable textiles, Tencel Lyocell to Lenzing. And Brian, my partner in the fund and global community. Our founding factory partners include, of course, Bob and people that he's done business with for over 40 years. Bob is the single largest importer of cotton in the US, and he wants us to put him out of business. He wants it all to shift to circular textiles produced and regenerated here in the US. James McKinnon has a weaving and network of cut and sew facilities. Marissa Fume South is on the board of the NCTO, has US lobbying power, and she has a 100,000 square foot digital knitting facility in Long Island, along with cut and sew. Tim Manson is president of Meridian Specialty Yarn Groups. They've been in business alone for 80 years in the Carolinas. They are dyeing and yarns, finishing of yarns. They built a $25 million state-of-the-art world-class dyeing facility in cash in the past couple of years. This is a sample of some of the circular textiles we have in our pipeline to scale. Traction, we've done a lot of things, happy to walk through in detail. We've got patents filed globally, non-provisionally. We're raising 3.5, we have a signed term sheet, and we're excited to create some jobs here in the United States. If you're interested, reach out.
Great.